Today we're talking with Tyler Whaley, the field crop agent for the County of Wayne here at the Cooperative Extension Service. And Tyler, it's been a while since we've talked. What's the crop situation here in Wayne County? Are we bouncing back after Hurricane Matthew, or how?
I think we have to some degree, Wayne. We did have some issues with Hurricane Matthew, primarily soybeans and cotton, I would say, sweet potatoes to some degree. But those two crops were probably hurt the worst from Matthew, from a yield perspective.
The tobacco had already been
harvested. Corn had already been harvested. In terms of peanuts, we don't have a lot of acreage of peanuts, so I think we were okay. They're planted on lighter textured soil, so they were able to drain well. But our biggest issues were probably cotton and soybeans to some degree.
Soybean has made a giant surge here in Wayne County over the last few years.
Yeah, it has. From an acreage standpoint, it holds the greatest acres. We have approximately 60,000 acres annual here in Wayne County. So it's our biggest crop in terms of acreage.
Largest in terms of acreage, but tobacco's still king.
Tobacco and sweet potatoes to some degree are still most valuable.
Sweet potatoes. Now, I know Johnston County and Greene County do quite well with sweet
potatoes.
potatoes.
Johnston, Wilson, we do as well. Greene, Nash, Edgecombe, those counties are high in sweet potato production.
But we do well. I didn't realize we did that well in sweet potatoes.
This past year we had roughly 6,500 acres of sweet potatoes. That's an increase from 2 to 3 years ago.
That's great. Is it a profitable crop for us?
Yeah, I think so. It's a profitable crop. It works well in rotation with growers that have tobacco, wheat, soybeans, equipment. They use the same equipment to manage those crops. They have the labor force to manage sweet potatoes, so it works well for growers.
And speaking about rotation, how often do you rotate, say, tobacco fields?
Well, the longer the rotation, the better from a disease standpoint. So we try to rotate tobacco 3 years.
Every 3 years?
Yeah, every 3 years. Some people are a little pressed for land. It might be 2 years, but we definitely do not need, say, tobacco in 2016 and tobacco in the same field in 2017. We do not need that. That can be a huge issue.
So they could put potatoes in there?
Yeah, they could put potatoes in there. Also, they like to rotate with small grains such as wheat and soybeans on those acres.
Has sorghum dropped off the radar?
Sorghum has dropped, Wayne, I would say pretty tremendously. I think we had less than, I want to say 500 acres.
Really?
In the county. And that's primarily price driven. It follows the corn market. So just the profitability is not there compared to, say, tobacco, soybeans.
So we're importing sorghum now for our crop.
Yeah, we are. Well, we're importing all grains because we simply cannot satisfy our needs from a livestock perspective. So we're getting it off a rail from the Midwest.
Well, here just a few years, it wasn't that long ago, sorghum was really doing well.
Yeah, it was.
A lot of acreage.
And I really think if the price will rebound, we'll look at sorghum again. Sorghum brings a lot of benefits to Wayne County from a rotational standpoint, from a weed management standpoint. Another thing, it's a lot more tolerant to drought than per se corn is. So we can put sorghum on some land that we probably don't need to be growing corn on.
All right.
So it can work in our growers' favor if the price would come up a little bit.
And just for those who may not be familiar with it, sorghum is used to feed.
Yeah, it is. It's a supplement for livestock, but like I say, it's price driven. But I think if we can get the price back up, it's got to fit in Wayne County.
About the same thing has happened to cotton. It's dropped off quite a bit.
Yeah, cotton's dropped off. Cotton, a lot of people don't know, cotton can be expensive to grow, Wayne. It works well. We've got good soils, good climate, but it goes back to price. Yeah. We can do a lot better right now with tobacco, like I say, tobacco, sweet potatoes, soybeans, and corn if it's grown under the correct conditions and on the right soil types.
Changing gears here a little bit, here recently in the last few years I've seen something that's really interesting to me, and that's rapeseed. That's a fascinating crop.
Yeah, it's a fascinating crop, and also it's got to fit here as well. It can be a supplement for some of our wheat acreage. It can be a winter crop, and it can help growers from a cash flow standpoint, but also from a yield standpoint. We can grow rapeseed here.
In winter?
As a winter crop? As a winter crop. And another thing I think it's attractive to growers is that we can harvest it a little bit earlier than we can wheat.
It flowers in the spring, though.
It does.
Okay.
It does, and it matures a little earlier than wheat, so we can go ahead and get our soybeans planted earlier.
It's quite a sight to see.
We get a lot of calls in our office just saying, what is that growing? What is that yellow stuff out there?
It's beautiful.
It's
a beautiful crop.
It is.
So has acreage in that increased?
No, I would say it's kind of flat. It's kind of I don't know if specialty is the right word for that, but
it's used as an oil.
It is, and it's shipped to the northeastern part of the state. But I think there's an interest there, but it's kind of stayed stagnant. And I think growers, given the economic climate that we're in, I don't know if they're into taking a lot of risk right now.
Yeah.
So they're familiar with growing wheat.
Yeah.
I think they're going to stick with that in the short term, but they might look at rapeseed.
How did wheat do after the storm?
Wheat was harvested in June. We had a lot of issues with wheat, Wayne. I'm really surprised we got as much planted as we do this year. We had a lot of rainfall last year, so the beginning of 2016, that really hurt our wheat crop. It seemed like it rained continuously then. We had a lot of disease issues, a lot of insect issues, fertilizer leached out.
Yeah.
So we just had a lot of concerns with wheat. The yield just simply wasn't there. But I will say, from a positive standpoint, the wheat crop this year looks really good right now.
Isn't it subject to disease easily?
Yeah, it can be, but we have varieties in place that can combat some of our disease pressures, and also we got fungicides we can spray. So, yes, if the conditions are right, we can get disease, but we have a way of managing disease.
So wheat is a good crop as a rotation crop?
Yeah, wheat's a good rotation crop, and that's why growers plant it, for that reason, just to put something on the land throughout the winter, and also, like I say, give them some cash flow.
Corn, what about corn this year?
Corn overall, I think, was fairly good. It depends on where you were. It depends on where it rained, when it rained. We had some outstanding yields in places, but also we had some lower yields too. So, like I say, it just depends on the season.
Yeah, I saw a lot of burned corn.
Yeah, it was, especially if you headed south. It seems like the northern part, the corn's fairly good up there, but south, it was good in places, but I would say yields were less.
So overall, the overall picture coming up for the next season in the 2017 year.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think we still got to be optimistic, Wayne. It's still kind of a gloom and doom situation, but I think in the long term things will pick up. From a tobacco standpoint, we still have to grow premium brand tobacco. The export market still want quality tobacco. Even though the United States grows only 6% of the total world tobacco,
Really?
Our niche is quality. So even though incomes are growing to some degree, I think we got a little more disposable income. The economy's starting to pick up a little bit. I think consumers are wanting a more premium brand cigarette. Even though cigarette consumption is decreasing in the U.S., they want a more premium brand.
Still the more premium brand. The higher the profit.
The higher the profit, but that premium brand cigarette requires higher quality tobacco. Mm-hmm. We got higher quality tobacco compared to anybody else in the world. Right. So that's an optimism for us right now.
Okay. So overall, the crops in general across Wayne County are looking pretty good for next year.
Well, we hope. We hope. Price has come up. I would say for commodities, price has come up a little bit compared to where it was, but we hope it'll come up some more. If it comes up some more, we should be in good shape, I think.
So futures are iffy right now.
Futures are iffy right now, and it depends on, there's a lot of players. Primary thing with soybeans is Brazil. See, the seasons are flip-flop now, so their crop's in the field. Yeah. So if they get a weather scare, if there's issues down there, if there's increased demand, that can drive price up.
Is Brazil our biggest competitor in soybeans?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, they drive a lot of the market, Wayne. So if if it depends on the conditions down there, could dictate price. But price can come back up in a matter of time. If they have a bad crop down there, it'll drive price up.
That'll be good for us.
It'll be good for us.
Not wishing anything bad.
Not
on
wishing
Brazil.
anything bad, but that's how the markets work.
All right. Well, Tyler, I appreciate you talking with us.
Anytime.